is Islamic parenting? That is a question I had myself when I was pregnant, and I really wanted to learn what is the best ways to teach my child and how can I implement it in my household. Hello beautiful souls, my name is Juhi. I am a mama of a 2-year-old, and in this video we're going to be discussing everything positive discipline in a Muslim household. That is the title of the book that I read. It encompasses positive discipline and how it aligns with Islamic teachings, which I think is really cool. So let's get right into it. The goal of raising children in Islam fall under the general concept of tarbiyah. For those that don't know what tarbiyah is, it basically means to oversee, support, and supervise children until they pass childhood. And obviously, tarbiyah can be achieved in different ways. However, to each method, there is a core framework of values. According to philosopher and educated, tarbiyah is a collection of behavior, verbal exchanges that are either directly or extrapolated from the Quran, Sunnah, and whose aims is to achieve the goals defined by Islam for the growth and happiness of Muslims in this dunya and akhirah. So what are those goals? It's basically the core of our existence, which is to worship Allah. I, Allah, created not the jinn, unseen being, and mankind except that they should worship me. It is also said that mankind can do this worship through daily activities to cultivate tribes and community on the earth. So anything you do can basically turn into worship as long as your intention is to seek the pleasure of Allah. And that is why parenting is a really important role, because for the child and the home, that is where worldviews and values are cultivated. As a Muslim parent trying to raise children that have a consciousness of Allah, tarbiyah can fall under these domains, which include religious, teaching the tenets of Islam; moral, which align with the Islamic character; healthy body, fostering a healthy lifestyle; intellectual, encouraging critical thinking skills; psychological, nurturing a healthy sense of self and others in the world; social, and engaging a sense of community; and sexual, understanding and maintaining natural desires and urges. Tarbiyah is based on the parent-child bond. What is positive discipline? Positive discipline is based on the general guidelines formulated by the school of thought of Alfred Adler, and these guidelines are as followed. Individuals are holistic and are part of systems. Adler saw humans as creatures that have free will and are able to choose whatever they want to become. Unlike other psychologists that thought conclusions that are made in childhood is what will eventually steer them in that direction, and that's where Adler differed from the other psychologists. Misbehavior is done when a child or adult behaves in a way to get a goal which isn't appropriate. However, the goal is still there, which is to belong in a social context. And as parents, we can nurture our children to find more healthier ways and behaviors to get the goal. Next is striving for significance. He believed that every human strives to have a mastery over their life, which will then help them overcome any obstacle. Next is the need to belong, and a person can feel that they belong through their family, community, society as a whole, and it is crucial for the identity of the self. Next is universal life tasks. Individuals strive to master critical daily life skills. These critical life tasks fall under building friendships, which is social. Next is intimacy, which is through love or marriage, and contributing to society, which is occupational. As you can see, positive discipline have goals that are inherently Islamic, such as building social interests. As stated earlier, having social consciousness is a measure for mental health. In a recent study done by Sonia on the How of Happiness, the results stated those that had stronger social connections had higher levels of happiness. It was also stated from other studies that having random acts of kindness to strangers also increases happiness and mood. The following hadith is an example of how social connection is integral in Islamic teachings. Reconcile a conflict between two people is a charity. Helping another with a burden is a charity. A good word is a charity. And every step you take toward the mosque is a charity. And removing harm from the road is a charity. Social connection is a foundational piece of Islam. Next is fostering belonging and connection. Positive discipline sees interdependence as an essential part of the human experience. That is why they are encouraged to help others and be empathetic. Islam is no different. The concept of Ummah, or the Muslim community, empowers Muslims with a sense of belonging that can go across borders, ethnicities, and cultures. You can feel that when you say salam to a complete stranger, but already feel like they are part of your family. At least I do so, and I really love that about Islam. This is also stated in the Quran. We have created you tribes and nations, so you may know one another. The noblest among you in sight of Allah is the most pious. Next is understanding the belief behind the behavior. Adlerian psychology views behavior as a means to seek connection, not as a passive biological response. While a person might do this in an unhealthy or not so direct manner, it is still to seek connection, whether that's conscious or unconscious. This belief aligns with Islam. An early lesson that is learned as Muslims is the concept of intention, which is to be aware of them, to assess them, and to correct them if need be. According to a hadith by Bukhari, deeds are considered by the intention behind them, and a person will earn based on what is intended. Adlerian psychology uses encouragement as a motivator for change. Many people don't actually know the real impact encouragement has to a growing child, and how the littlest phrase of encouragement can boost a child's self-esteem, happiness, and their ability to keep trying. The example of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, showed that he was an encourager rather than an enforcer of laws and rules. And by the mercy of Allah, you dealt with them gently, and had you been severe and harsh-hearted, they would have dispersed from around you. Next is mutual respect. Respect means to see the other person as an individual that have the right for their own feelings, thoughts, and decisions. Parents that see their children as individuals are able to then empower them, responsible, proactive, and capable. The next is kindness and firmness at the same time. A lot of people may think they're contradictions. However, it is possible. This is possible by addressing the child's needs, which is kindness, while also addressing the needs of the situation, which is firmness. So as you can see, you can be kind and also hold a boundary with a child. Next is short-term versus long-term. In positive discipline, parents are encouraged to think of the long-term effects instead of just focusing on the short-term solution. The goal is to give the tools needed so they're not focused on the short-term moment, but utilize these as teachable opportunities, which is to empower children to become their best selves in adulthood. This is one of the most important concepts in Islam, which is whatever action we do in this life will impact our hereafter. In the Quran, it is stated, "He who does an atom's worth of good will reap it, and he who does an atom's worth of evil will face it." Next is focus on the solution. In previous generations, parents were encouraged to use punishment or logical consequences to teach their children. However, this led to a disconnect between the parent and child relationship. Positive discipline sees these moments as teachable opportunities and to teach life lessons. And it is proposed that children learn better if they are engaged in the process of finding a solution. The story of the Bedouin is a perfect example of how the Prophet saw this as a teachable opportunity. The Bedouin enters the holy mosque and urinated while the Prophet and his companions were in the mosque. In reaction, the companions started to scold the Bedouin. The Prophet, in his wisdom, directed them to calm down and allow him to finish. Pour water over the area to purify it and teach the Bedouin the etiquette of the mosque. He was not punished or scolded. He was taught what to do to fix the problem and how to behave in the future. Parenting is an interaction between parent and child, and both influence the process. So I'll be going over positive discipline tools and how to use them effectively at home.